What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take NFL DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. Joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG, known to many of you as Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. We're here to talk about Monday Night Football. One of the games of the year, probably Chiefs, Ravens. Paulie, what's happening?
What up, man?
Nothing, man. Another day, another dollar. Shout out to Patio Joe, already in the YouTube chat. Joey Joe 3-0 in cash games to start the NFL 2020 season. Shout out to Joey, man. Doing dirt. Writes our cash game article, wisec.com. Holla.
All day.
All week. He'll be here all week, guys. So make sure you go check him out, shout him out. Shout out to Joey. And shout out to those of you joining us live. No baseball today, a little bit of a break. We do have MLB playoffs tomorrow, so we will be back with the live stream for some MLB playoffs. But tonight, we've got a pretty exciting football game. You know, I'm not one to be like huge on, you know, the showdown is something I've grown on me lately, right? Like when they first came out, I was kind of like, this is weird. But I've really, really come to like these things, especially when we do have some really good games, especially this type of game, man. This is just an offensive, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, but
Yeah.
you know, fireworks all day, every day, midnight. My dog's scared, hiding under desk, crying. You know, like fireworks, that kind of fireworks.
Yep. It's gonna be good. This is a game of the year candidate, you know.
All day. I did finally get a chance to post projections for the showdown slate, so I did post that up at whitestick.com. On Thursdays, our boy Matty Ice writes a showdown article. Paulie and I do the shows for Mondays and Thursdays. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe and notifications bell so you don't miss out on any of the live content we do. We do a lot of live content for DFS pretty much every day. And if you're watching on Twitch, appreciate you. Give us a follow there. We're trying to grow platforms as well. Don't forget, we are doing another giveaway tomorrow. The first giveaway went well last year, $20. Tomorrow we'll announce it on the First Look podcast with myself and Patio Joe. So make sure you're paying attention on what we're gonna do. Do another giveaway. It's gonna be money. Not sure how much yet. Maybe another 20. Maybe it's 50. I don't know. Guess you gotta watch the show to find out. But either way, we will be announcing the contest and tell you guys how to do the dirty that way. With that said, Paul, are you ready to get into this sleazy right here?
Yeah.
All right, let me just pull up the projections. Dirty style. Here we go. All right. Obviously, we've got the Ravens and Chiefs. The Ravens 3.5-point favorites. Needless to say, that's going to draw a lot of public attraction. Rightfully so. Anytime you can get Patrick Mahomes with points and a hook, sounds like a pretty tempting proposition to me. We have a 54.5 total. That's up from 52. Ravens are obviously home. We're gonna start with like how we think the game. Oh, no. Matter of fact, we'll go right into the Chiefs side first, and then kind of put the pieces together to then conclude how we think the games are gonna go. So start to me with the Kansas City Chiefs side.
All right. Methinks the game's gonna be high scoring regardless. I don't know if like Chiefs lead, Ravens come back, or Ravens lead, Chiefs come back, or it just stays back and forth the whole time. But I'd be expecting a shootout. Could be the highest scoring game of the year. And on the Chiefs side, you know, I like Mahomes, obviously, paired up with just about anybody. I think the cheap receivers are kind of interesting. Baltimore has got, what's his name, like Mumphrey, legit, you know, corner, man-to-man corner, probably going to roll with Tyreek Hill. Not that Tyreek Hill can't be a good play, but, you know, Mahomes likes to spread it around anyway. And you kind of can fit in a lot of nice shit if you pay down to like Watkins, Hardman, or DeMarcus Robinson. You know, I could try to sell you some bullshit as to why one of them looks better to me than the other, but I'm just going to try to have enough teams to kind of get enough of each, because I think they're going to be like the lower owned kind of plays of the slate. And stick one of them in captain. Maybe you get like a DeMarcus Robinson 3-touchdown game or something crazy. It helps you get to the top of those large fields, which is really all I'm playing in, just hoping for lightning to strike kind of deal. I do like Travis Kelce. He'd be the spend up that I would pair with Mahomes if I was going that route. And there's not much else I think really, I don't think I'd play any of the backup running backs like Dalvin Thompson, Darrell Williams. It's the cheap receivers like DeMarcus, Mecole, and Sammy that would kind of differentiate me, I hope. And Kelsey's the stud up.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually, Kelsey's my favorite position player. I think I'm okay. I'll have some Hill. He's captain viable, all that stuff. But Kelsey seems like the safer bet against the Ravens, who are, like you said, have a pretty good secondary, pretty good outside guys. In general, especially in a game on the road, I do like Mahomes, and I like the idea of. We'll get to the Ravens later, but I like the idea of the Ravens running a lot and Kansas City inversely passing a lot. And so I actually like Mahomes, I think, more than I like Lamar Jackson, just in terms of fantasy, how I think the game will go. With that said, Kelsey is my favorite target to pair him with. I'm good with Hill, but it's funny you mentioned Demarcus Robinson at 3K. He's probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. And again, it's not about selling him on, it's because he's due for XYZ targets, but that's not really the name of the game in what we're doing here. Right, like there's enough ties as it is. You got to try some different stuff. So I think Watkins is certainly in play. I think last year he had, I want to say like 7 or 8 targets when they met up this way. But I actually think I'm better off paying down DeMarcus Robinson and just hope that he gets a couple bombs, man. I mean, he's getting 3 or 4 targets. He's like the third, fourth option. So it's nothing pretty. He's probably the 4th option realistically behind the running back. Right, it's probably Kelsey, him. So I'm aware of that, and on a main slate, would I do something like that? Probably not, because we'd have other options that I could sell you on elsewhere. But on a slate like this, I think it's a way to get different. It's some value, and the guy's got upside. When he does get the ball thrown to him, it's usually a pretty big fucking play.
Yeah, like he had a touchdown on like a 50-yard bomb week 1 called back. Like that's play like that. That's all you need. But what he does is allow you to fit Lamar, Mahomes, Kelsey into a lineup, which you ain't fitting with one of them in the captaincy.
Absolutely. And again, it's about the upside. Well, there's another player on the other side who's similar price, and Boykin, who's the number 2 receiver technically. We'll talk about him on the Ravens side, but I think he'll go on a heavier ownership because he is the number 2 option. I think Robinson's ownership is going to remain really low. And like you said, man, he would be more popular had he caught that, had that first touchdown pass held, and people went through his game logs and saw that he did score a play like that. Right. So I'm with you on him. Yeah. And it was funny you mentioned him. I do like him as well. Again, it's not to say we won't have any Tyreek, not to say we won't have any. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a little interesting because we know that Mahomes will throw to him. So I think he's not somebody that I'm going to ignore. But Mahomes, Kelsey, and Robinson are kind of, I like that trio, allowing me to get some guys on the other side as well. What about the kickers in this situation? Do you have any interest in Butker?
Yeah, no, I mean, in shootout style games, you'll hear me say this all the time, like both kickers, it allows you to get 4 other relatively good players, and as your guys score, they score that extra point. Usually there's a couple field goals in those high scoring games, and they give you a nice little floor of like 6 to 10 points. I like getting a little extra point on top of the score from your player. That's always like nice. Gives you, takes you ahead of a couple other people who had the same guy. So I'll have a ton of the kickers. I probably want to have a team without kickers.
Fair enough. It's like if this game goes like 60 points or whatever, similar to the Seattle game, it's hard to imagine at least one of these kickers not racking up enough points to make them a pretty good value play. In fact, their averages this year are both double digits. I think Tucker's like 12 and Butker's like 10. Like they're averaging double digits already in the early going. What about I briefly talked about him. We both kind of skipped from Kelsey, then maybe Hill, all the way down to DeMarcus Robinson. What is your interest level in Sammy Watkins?
He's, second favorite receiver. That's not a tight end. Just because he's so cheap, he is the number 2 receiver, probably the number 4, option in the in the offense. I'd say Robinson's probably number
Yes, yeah,
five. You'd
no,
probably say
that is correct.
Kelsey
Yes.
Hill, Clyde Hilaire, Watkins, DeMarcus. But you know, Mahomes will spread it around wherever they find an opening, right? Like, and either one of those two could certainly be it. Watkins, you don't need as much home run, but he does have that capability. Don't love that he's coming off an injury, but he practiced in full, and it was more concussion based, I believe. So, yeah, I do like Watkins. Just think he'll be somewhat popular, and Demarcus Robinson, maybe like 20% owned, but he'll be like 1% as a cap.
Mm-hmm. No, no, I agree with that. And again, yeah, I agree with that. I think Watkins is also an option. You just get the feeling that like if with this good secondary, if somebody's gonna beat him for a big time play, it's either gonna be Watkins or Robinson. I mean, I see Joey in the chat screaming about Mecole Hardman. Certainly a possibility. And of course, you got the special teams potential. I personally prefer
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. I just think that they've been going to a bit, but Mecole Hardman, we got to see flashes of him last season, and obviously has that kind of talent. Any interest in Mecole?
Yep. He's the least of the receivers for me. He's just never had, more than 6 targets in a game, and that was when Tyreek Hill was out. When Tyreek Hill's been in, the most he's had is 4. And that's, the rarity. It's usually like 1 or 2. And usually it's like a short screen kind of deal, so he's got to kind of make it happen where like DeMarcus has just got to catch that ball on a 50-yard play and fall into the end zone. But yeah, the price is low, the skill set is there, and you do get some special team upsides. You could pair him with the defense and get jiggy that way. But he'd be my least interest of the receivers.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. With that said, we'll flip over to the other side. We'll talk about the Ravens, and then we'll kind of put it all together. What is your interest level in the Ravens? Which players? I'll let you boy.
So I prefer Lamar to Mahomes, but just because of the rushing, I agree. Like I expect him to run the ball a ton, but like there's a chance the Chiefs go out to a lead, and we see Baltimore playing from behind where Lamar runs like 15 to 20 times. Like um, he did run 16 times last game, but uh, you can really run on the Chiefs defense. Houston's a tough team to run on, and like it's possibly throws for 2 and change, rushes for 100 and change, and they just don't really have that many people that you could really foresee getting any substantial volume. Like I think it's gonna be Lamar, and um, sure, like a touchdown can get vultured, but I think you could say the same for Mahomes. I just think the rushing upside gives you a higher ceiling with Lamar, although, you know, it's not going to take much of an argument to say Mahomes could outscore him today. I just have a feeling Lamar is going to do a little better. Um, and in terms of like, I envision myself having like a lot of like 5-1 or 4-2 in favor of the Chiefs kind of lineups because it's like Lamar +1. I don't really envision myself stacking a ton of Ravens, although maybe that's what everybody's thinking, and that could be a little contrarian. But, Marquise Brown has some appeal, although the Chiefs are pretty damn good against the pass. Willie Snead and Miles Boykin are the significantly less attractive, number 2 and 3 passing options in the receiver position. But I think that they'll hold some more ownership than like a Demarcus Robinson because they're like the number 2 and 3 versus like number 4 and 5. Andrews will probably be the most commonly paired guy. I'm cool with that as well. He'd probably be my favorite pair as well. I think I like the idea of pairing Lamar with an Ingram or a J.K. Dobbins. And, like you said, you expect them to run a lot, and the Chiefs can be run on. That could be a nice contrarian way to just take all the rushing plays from the Chiefs with Lamar and Mark Ingram and be a little bit different while still getting a lot of Chiefs and going at it that way. So it's like Lamar plus mostly just one, or Lamar on his own. That's really where I'm at. And I significantly like the Baltimore value guys less.
Interesting enough. I mean, listen, Lamar projects the best for us. Obviously, I think in optimal builds and cash games, I'd probably find a way to play Lamar and Mahomes both. But in tournaments, with the expected ownership of Lamar Jackson, I'm just really big on Ingram, even J.K. Dobbins. I'm just gonna go heavy on the run game, and I like the idea better of grabbing like an Ingram and a Mark Andrews, guys who are likely to score touchdowns. Because like it's funny how you say Lamar Jackson will get vultured. He's the one doing the vulturing. The running backs are supposed to run the ball in the end zone, So it's like,
Yeah.
but that's what Lamar is though. Like he's changing the game, right? Like now it's like
Yeah.
a guy like him, and all of a sudden the script is flipped. If someone else scores a touchdown that doesn't go through him, he's been vultured. So with
Right.
that said, like I totally understand, and he should be the highest owned player today. But for the sake of getting different and just game script, really, I just think that the Chiefs, I see the Chiefs because the Ravens defense is better. I think the Chiefs are going to have Mahomes in order to score touchdowns. Whereas I think we've seen how bad the Chiefs run defense really is. We saw even in losing game scripts, David Johnson looked like the resurgent him in week 1 in a game they were getting their ass kicked. And then in week 2 against the Steelers, a good defense, he did nothing. He was just nothing. We saw against the Chargers, Austin Eckler and I think the other guy both ran fairly well. And last year when these guys played, Ingram had 3 rushing touchdowns in a game they were trailing. So there is some concern for me with Lamar that even if they're trailing, if they're unable to connect, because I'm still a little reluctant on relying, like you said, that the Chiefs with Mahomes, I could pair him with a ton of people, all 5. There's really only, if you're playing Lamar, you still only envision stacking him with 1 or 2 dudes, because you know that if he's having a good day, he's probably locked in on like 1 or 2 guys. I prefer Andrews also over what the fuck, Hollywood Brown. Not to say I don't like Hollywood Brown. I have some exposure to him too, but I do like Andrews more. I think that it's clear that the efficiency of the passes to Andrews are better when he gets to the red zone and he's looking to pass. He's definitely looking for Andrews. I think Boykin makes a lot of sense, and I think he could save some money. I found myself with a lot of builds with like Boykin, Ingram, and Andrews as my exposure to the Ravens, and that allowed me to get Mahomes with like a couple different players, Mahomes, Kelsey, and one other, Watkins or Robinson or whatever. And I felt pretty comfortable with it. So it's definitely, I think like exposure wise, I'm like severely underweight on Lamar, and that's not like a brag by any means. It's definitely nerve wracking, but I'm just kind of taking a stand, only doing 20 teams, and I'm taking a stand that they're going to get it done on the ground. Because that's really the only way I see them doing it. Last year we saw Lamar kind of struggle on the air, and I do think Lamar's going to get some rushing yards. That's why I would play him in catch, because I think the floor of Lamar today is phenomenal. He's going to run. I just think when they get in the end zone, if they can have Ingram absorb that hit or J.K. Dobbins absorb that hit, I think they would prefer to do it if they're able to do it successfully rather than put Lamar out there on the goal line and risk him getting hurt. Obviously, if Ingram's not getting it done, then yeah, they're gonna ask Lamar to do it, and that's a ceiling game coming. Let me ask you this: the running back situation. A lot of people are nervous about the Ingram, Dobbins, Gus Edwards situation. So looking into it, like Gus Edwards ended up getting a lot of carries in week 2. I was just gonna say most of that was complete garbage time. Pretty much all of that was complete garbage time. So I'm still like good with Ingram and Dobbins. I even have a couple teams, not very many, but a couple teams where I have them both. What is your thought on that running back situation?
I'm like heavily in favor of Ingram. Like they've won both games handily. They didn't need Ingram. They're gonna need him today, and I like the idea of pairing him with Lamar. You know what I mean? He even had 3 targets last game. But I think you see them, run the ball a ton, try to run the ball some more. And, Dobbins, I think he'll get a couple touches, but it's a little strange that he didn't get any touches in that mop-up game win against Houston. Like, that's a little concerning to me after he was more involved in week 1. And, I think it's like take turns, run with the hot hand. Maybe they didn't get Gus any touches week 1, so it was his turn. But I think in close games, they're going to go with the veteran, big trust, Mark Ingram. Let's go.
I agree. He's the one I have the most of. He's the only running back that I captained at all, obviously. But with that said, I've heard people talking about Gus Edwards, and I'll have some exposure to Dobbins simply because last year when these guys played, Ingram had 16 carries, 103 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, who at the time was the clear number 2, had 7 carries for 53 yards. So if Dobbins were to get into the end zone, in combination with some statistics like that, because I envision them running like that. Like I envision them just running. Obviously, Ingram is going to have to come off the field once in a while, so I do think we'll see at least one other running back get a decent amount of touches, assuming that they're successful at running. But I agree with you. It's Dobbins over Edwards, and exposure-wise, I'm looking at like 20% Dobbins, 15% Dobbins, and like a shit ton, maybe like 80, 90%. I think Ingram will probably be my highest owned player, which is obviously compared to, if you look at what he's done, crazy. But maybe he won't be as popular as he should be, and he really should be. I mean, any running back against the Chiefs, forget game script. If you think the team is going to move the ball, they're going to have to do it on the ground. That's just how you do it against these guys. I'll at your boy. Any interest? I think one of the more like not chalk, but I think one of the more popular value plays would be Nick Boyle. Like from people who are trying to be slick is Nick Boyle at $800. Obviously, taking a player that's $800 or even Devin Duvernay or whatever at $400. These guys that have 1 or 2 targets a game max. If it happens to be in the end zone, it's going to allow you to comfortably get Lamar Jackson, Mahomes. I'm not really playing that game. What about you?
I think that's too
It's like
thin.
for the 150ers, right? It's like you really need to get deep to get to really feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm doing like 20 squads, and I think that's too deep. But I mean, I'm not gonna I wouldn't fight you over it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the value plays like Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman are fairly cheap. You just got to get 2 of them instead of just one, of those $400 guys. But like that, to me, this isn't the pool of $400 guys to play from. Like they could all get 0.
Yeah, it's funny if you look at them that they're pretty much all Baltimore guys. And again, we just talked about how Baltimore concentrates everything very specifically. Like they're very concentrated on the dirty and whatnot.
Are you playing any Gus Edwards?
No, probably not. If I had more teams, I would, just because I'm so heavy on the running backs that I should probably have some. But I'm in agreement with you. I mean, he's still on special teams, so his snap count looks pretty. When you look at the offensive snaps, last week really gave him a boost. Like it was looking a lot more lopsided until last week. So I'm not gonna do it. I could see he's like the one way that Baltimore runs the shit out of the ball, and I just don't do anything because he worked in there and at 1,600 he got a touchdown. But I tell you what, from a price perspective, he does he's easier. Like Dobbins at 5'6", when you have no clue what he's doing, or Edwards at 1,600. If I really believed it was a true toss up, then I would say yes. And I've heard some people talk about Edwards, and again, like just like you, I don't have any inkling of like, I don't know, this is how it is. But I do think that they're going to try to get the kid some work. I think, outside of Ingram, of course. Ingram will be the workhorse, but I just think they're going to get the kid some work. They drafted him for a reason. They played him in week 1, and in week 2, the game was just out of hand from the start. It just wasn't even, and I get it. Save your guys. You plan on going into the playoffs, Slave. Save your fucking. You see all the injuries popping up. Last thing you need is in garbage time for one of your guys to get fucking hurt. Especially when and you don't think they even, obviously they knew they had the Chiefs up next. It's not something, you look at the schedule, you don't just go into it like week to week, not when you're playing the Chiefs. Nothing like that. With that said, Nathan, go ahead and get your questions in. Me and Paul are going to do some picks here against the spread, total, all that good shit. Get your questions in, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It really helps us out. It goes a long way and allows us to continue to do that dirty on that YouTube and that Twitch. So help us out. Share the video. That really helps us out. It goes a long way. The more we grow, the more we can put back into the product, the more we can put back into these shows. So we ask that you help us out a little bit. All right.
Oblige.
Oblige. Exactly. All right. So we'll do the spread first. Ravens -3.5 currently at home. What's your pick?
Chiefs.
The hook is the big thing. Like, oddly enough, like, unless you bet on sports, like 3.5 to me, if I couldn't buy it down, then I'm picking the Chiefs gun to my head. But I really like the idea of buying the Ravens down to 3, and going with them. Just that's how good I think they're going to run the ball. Is I think they're going to be able to actually control a little bit of this tempo, and so I feel comfortable with that. And it's a little bit of a fate of the public, but we'll see what happens. But at 3.5, if I couldn't buy it, if you're at a book that won't let you buy the points, I can't. I'm not betting. At the very least, I'm not betting the Ravens at 3.5. I can't do that hook. But again, I would like the Ravens at 3. 54.5 total over under. I say over also. I do think. These are two of the best offenses in the game. Again, the reason I like Baltimore is because they're at home and I give the slight edge to defense. But I'm with you, Paulie. I don't see how this game doesn't have a lot of points. All right, let's see what the YouTube Nation has for us up here. Here's a question from Louis. Lewis. He says, in 20 max, how many different captains would you use?
In 20 max, probably no more than like 5, to be honest. There's not many guys I really like for the captain. Maybe that's a good topic of conversation. Like, how many you got in your builds right now?
I'm actually trying to check right quick. Let me see something real quick. Captain Planet. He's a hero. Get him. I got a few. I guess I'm a little spread out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8 technically, but I have a couple with just one. But I do. It's funny because I am concentrated though. So I have Mark Ingram, Demarcus Robinson, Patrick Mahomes, and Kelsey the most, significantly higher than the rest. And if I was higher on them more, I'd obviously that way. But
I got 8 in my player pool that I was willing to accept, but I only gave me 5 with the last crunch. So I bet you it's the same 8 guys.
Probably. I'll let you, boy. Yeah. But that was a good question, though. I like that strategy stuff. Sometimes we don't talk about it enough. Kyle, what's happening? Good to see you.
A build with a Lamar and captain. Let me see if I even have any. Even though Lamar I have as my highest point per dollar play on the slate in my projections, they didn't give me one team with him in captain, right. So that gives you a perception.
You have to play the Nick Boyles and shit to get a comfortable team.
Yeah, to get
right.
Him. Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting looking at this. The value guy and the captain may be kind of popular today.
It kind of seems like the builds look better. If you can stomach a Boykin in the captain or something like that, you could fit Lamar and Mahomes fairly easily without having to suck too much. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wes Bearden says, Devin Duvernay makes his name known while the Chiefs lock down Hollywood, but he followed it up, but do not load on Duvernay. Haha. So he was just joking. Holla at your boy. Funny videos. I don't think it will be high scoring game. I like the Chiefs and more like the Chiefs and Rams 2 years ago, maybe high 20s. It's a possibility. Chadwick, what's going on, bro? Says, yo, the homies, yes, sir. We are here. Darius Mayfield. Baltimore may try to ground Mahomes and play keep away with Jackson, Dobbins, and Ingram. Yeah, I do think that's going to be their game plan. Playing keep away is I think, 100% what they're going to do. I think they're going to try their best to control, they may not have a choice. That may be the only way they can move the ball. But I do expect them to try to eat up a lot of clock and try to dominate time of possession by running the ball. They dominate time of possession, right? The clock keeps running. You keep running successfully. I'll let your boy receive the streets. Chadwick, Ingram in the captain seat? Yeah, he's my highest on captain. Ingram. And again, we're not here to talk. We're not talking about optimals, right? Me and Paulie don't play a lot of cash, especially we don't play any cash on these shits. So this is all about tournaments. Mm-hmm. We're both in large field tournaments, right? 20 teams and 20 entry max, let's say, with over 100,000 fucking people playing this thing. So we're not here. There's one game. So we're not here to try and just split $100,000, with 100,000 people. It's not we're trying to take some chances. So yeah, I think Ingram will be low. Either way, I think Ingram will be low on captain. Do you?
Let's look at a projection because I have no fucking clue, to be honest.
So that was tough.
But So if it's almost impossible to get a nice lineup with Lamar and the captain, right? Like, I guess the general public's going to go to Mark Andrews on the Baltimore side because you still tie Lamar to that. I guess Hollywood Brown, although, how often is he the highest scoring player on Baltimore? Almost never. Um, if this, I don't think he would because it doesn't really pair with Lamar. It kind of contradicts with Lamar, but seeing the kind of build you're going to get, what do you think, man?
I think, I don't think Ingram's going to be all that popular because I think people are nervous about who's the real running back there. Because if you look at just snap counts, they're all at like 30%. You can't even tell.
Yeah.
But I do think we're going to see a lot more chief players than captains. I think we'll see like Mahomes is a little easier, right? It's $1,000 left from a regular price. Travis Kelce, a little easier, right? He's even cheaper, $10K. So you could make that work. What is that, 15 on the 1.5 booster? So I think we'll see more of those guys. Even Clyde Edwards-Helaire, people love that guy. I love that guy. He gets pass work, like looks great. So I don't know. I don't think Ingram's going to be like 0.5% at captain, but I do think in comparison to some of the other like studs on the slate or like players on the slate, I think people may be nervous playing him, let alone putting him at the captain spot with how little he's actually played. Unless people ain't looking at that shit, then maybe I'm giving the field too much credit that they're actually looking.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say he's like 15% in the captain market.
But that's high. 15% of the captain is high. Like when you look at captain exposures. Yeah. So you think he's going to be real popular at the captain?
No, I meant that in a way to say he's going to be like medium.
So like we'll say like what, like 5-6%.
Okay.
Especially on a set like this because there's so many guys. Because if we're talking about, like you said, Andrews and Marquise Brown, people will try. People will try Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Kelce, and then you got quarterbacks. But with Lamar Jackson, like I just built a team by hand with Lamar Jackson and Boykin. And if you're cool with Ingram, you could still get Pat Mahomes if you're ready to, do the dirt and dirty with Robinson and Watkins. But it's not impossible, but that's like the only way I could see it working unless you start getting real funky. So yeah,
that was the captain in the captain.
That's with Lamar and the captain, yeah. So there's ways to do it, but I agree with you that the lineups, like I'd feel comfortable doing it. I don't know if everybody else would. Like would people feel comfortable having like Robinson and Boykin together in the same lineup? I don't know, because that means they're not playing. I don't know. It's tough. Opportunity cost. What you think? Slanging it all day. Watkins is active. Butker is automatic from Kyle Bogart. Yes. If you have to choose one of the defenses, which one? If you had to choose one defense, which one?
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Oh man, I think obviously Mahomes is the better quarterback, but I would say the Ravens because I think they will throw more. So with the potential for the upside, I would say them. Don't like either defense, to be clear. Me and Paulie both like the over in this game, so I think we're both expecting the offenses to score and do dirties. But I guess I would lean slightly towards the Ravens because I think they're actually a good defense, whereas the Chiefs I don't think are actually a good defense. Moochie said you guys playing Boykin.
Yeah,
we playing a little bit of Boykin.
Need it.
Yeah, I know you do. It's true.
Who's your favorite guy to pair with Lamar if Lamar's not if Lamar's not the captain, but in your
lineup? My favorite pairing is Andrews. He's my favorite. My second favorite is actually not Marquise Brown. Like ideally in an ideal world, but if I'm not going to Andrews, then I'm gonna go all the way down to save some fucking money. And my third favorite, still not Marquise Brown. Again, I'm not saying I don't like Marquise Brown. There's just these hurdles I get through. It's Ingram because I can see a world where they're just all running, and Ingram does get a couple touchdown passes in the red zone. I can see it. So it's like that's not a correlation play. That's more of like a scheme play. Like we just think they're going to constantly run, and those are their runners.
Yeah. Yep. Holmes, like, it happens, but he rarely keys on one guy.
Right.
Like every now and then Kelce ceilings out. You can almost kind of play Mahomes naked. The more I'm thinking about this, I was thinking about the other way. But if he spreads it around, like one touchdown a piece, you may want more Ravens, so to speak. Like the value guys are, like say he throws one to Boykin, runs for 3, and Ingram runs for $120 and 2 touchdowns of his own. Like, you know, you just have Mahomes and then 2 kickers, and like that could be super contrarian. Because I think everyone thinks about pairing Mahomes with a receiver because he's that traditional type of quarterback, but he really fucking spreads it around a lot. It's very rare that it's like 3 touchdowns to this one guy.
Well, that's exactly why the value on the Kansas City has me more interested. Right, because Robinson has and Hardman and those guys, they have just as much of a shot to catch a pass as anyone else because he does spread the ball out a lot. He's not going to get just locked into one guy. Whereas we've seen, Lamar do that. And there's a scenario like I think we both think is coming where they just run all the time. So I could see that. Moochie Mob Ties boiled 1-yard touchdown today. Bold prediction. Definitely a possibility. Madeline Buckman says, boo. I don't know what the hell you booing. Kyle Bogart, Andrews or Brown?
Kyle Bogart, Andrews.
Yeah, I lean Andrews. Funny videos. I hate picking against the Chiefs since I'm a Chiefs fan. Oh man. Well, lucky you. I ain't feeling bad for you picking against the Chiefs. You're a Chiefs fan? I'm a Jet fan, bro. You know what that's like? Do you know what that's like? Shit, come on, funny videos. Our boy Roddy Pope, the kicker is the one or a position player? Oh, the kicker as the one or a position player? As the one.
What do you mean by that? The kicker as the one? Oh, as the one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. No, I meant like skill position player. The kicker would actually be 2.
Yeah. But the kicker is fine to throw in there, right? Like if you just had Kelsey throwing a kicker with him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Shout out to Roddy. Good to see you, Roddy. Long time with the nation. If you're picking a Ravens running back, who are you going with, Ingram or Dobbins? Both Ingram. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony A got the right idea. Support the nation. Smash the like button. Twice if you can. I like that, Tony. I like the way you think. Much appreciated, Tony. Out there trying to help the nation out.
Like mail-in ballot.
Let's do it.
Twice
if you can. Let's go. Let's go. Darius Mayfield, Tyreek Hill, or Hollywood Brown, MVP spot on FanDuel. So their price isn't a thing. It's just the points.
Say that again. Oh, yeah. The quarterbacks.
Well, no, he was asking Tyreek or Hollywood.
Oh, Tyreek.
I would say Tyreek also. Kyle Bogart, Mark Ingram at captain. I like it. Paulie likes it. Who is both of your favorite captains? Mine, I already said, is Mark Ingram. Who's your actual favorite captain?
Marcus Robinson.
Oh yeah, I think that's actually my second highest captain. I think. Marty S. Not going to work. KC scores, so Ravens have to score fast or get blown out. Agree with that. I don't see the Ravens stopping the Chiefs, so they're going to have to score if they want to do the dirty. Wes Beard, and I think the teams will run more than people are expecting. Also, I mean, me and Paulie are expecting the Ravens to run a ton, including Lamar. The Chiefs running, I guess it depends on the game script. It depends. If the Chiefs are ahead, yeah, we'll see them try to run, keep the ball away from Lamar. Do that dirt. Marty S. They didn't blow out Houston, so KC will double up what Houston did. We talking about last week? I don't know. I think I misunderstood the question. They didn't blow out Houston, so KC will double up what Houston did. Oh, okay. So against the Ravens. So you're saying that you think KC is going to basically double up on the stats that Houston did. I gotcha. Lots of holding hands with Lamar as captain. Holla. Would you do 2 kickers in the same lineup?
Yes, I recommend it.
Westbeard and I'm fading Mahomes. Scary, but I'm doing it. Definitely scary. Definitely scary. He's the best quarterback in the league. By far.
Yeah. Like, no question. That's why he's got half a bill.
Yeah, half a bill. Yeah. Roddy Pope, pair with Lamar. But right, gotcha. All day. Appreciate you. Funny video says, I know it blows to be a Jet fan, but feeling bad for Falcons fans this year. I don't feel bad for them. You know why? At least their games are exciting. Look at the scores of the fucking Jets' first 2 games. I don't feel bad for them either. They just been to a Super Bowl recently. The Jets have not been to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying?
The last time they went to the Super Bowl, though, they had a epic meltdown like they've had the last 2
Yes, but at
weeks.
least they were
And
there.
you know,
I know.
Jesus.
It is like, listen, it's gut wrenching. The difference, I'll give you this funny videos with that point about the Falcons. There is something to like knowing your team is shit, and then there's something to thinking your team is good because they should be good because they have really good players, and then they just keep getting, like I get that. You know what I mean? That's a whole different when you expect to win. And then you fucking come out like that and you end up losing that way. Like Nick Foles comes in as the hero on you. Like you were only winning against Trubisky. That's like, I get it. And the week before that, obviously, you were beating Dallas. And then they came back and you got. And I mean, I think the stat I saw was like twice, 2 weeks in a row, the Falcons at one point in the game had like a 99% win probability. And they lost both games. So, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. That does suck. All right. I think with that said, Westburn, try being a Longhorn fan like myself. People hate us. Zach, like 3 touchdowns by Lamar would sure get me a win in my fantasy league. Keep up the great work, guys. Appreciate you, Mr. Jones. All right. With that said, Nation, I think we're going to get up out of here. We got about, 15 minutes? And so, I guess like 20 minutes. But still, we're going to get up out of here. Hit the like button. Me and Patty Joe will be back at it tomorrow with the NFL First Look podcast. We'll be doing the giveaway, so make sure you're paying attention. We're going to give all the rules to the giveaway on the show. We'll be announcing it, all that good shit. And then, also, me and Paulie will be back at you tomorrow. Oh, no, actually, it'll just be me most likely because it's an early slate with the MLB. So, solo MLB stream tomorrow, trying to grind out the MLB playoffs. We got a few good slates because the playoffs are expanded. So, we actually have some pretty decent-sized slates coming. We got a couple of 4s and a couple of 8s. So, it'll be fun.
How many game series is the first round?
I honestly don't even know. I've been so wrapped up in football, I didn't bother to check. I was just happy to make it there. I didn't make it to that point. We had a really good baseball season, so I was just. But we will definitely check. But I know I did look at the schedules, and what I saw was like I know tomorrow's 4 games, the next game's 4 games, and then after that there's 2 8-game slates. So I'm assuming these might be 1 games or something, just to kind of. I think we might have some 1 games up here.
But I saw like brackets, and like I don't know, whatever. We'll figure it out. But I'm pretty sure it's not just like the Yankees play Cleveland. It's the wild card series, but I don't think it's just a 1-game series. But someone in the chat's got to know, right? Hit me.
Tony A says best of 3. That's how quick it is. Best of 3, he says.
So
that's it. So that makes sense. It's not a 1 game, but you win 2 and you get through. That would make sense. Appreciate you, Tony. As always. And they're doing the bubble, too. Like, this first round is not in the bubble. But then after that, they all move to the bubble. Right. Yeah, bubblicious. Paulie, anything closing before we get up out of here?
No, man. Good luck tonight. Have some fun with it. This should be a really, really fun slate. And, the fucking, what do they even call them? Like, the in-game drafts that DraftKings offers? I think there's some edge there. Like, what are those called? Flash drafts. Stack the shit out of them when you do it. Correlate the fuck out of it. I've salvaged some slates lately with those things. So, jump in, look at who's going to be getting the ball at the time of the slate. If it's the start of the third quarter, and usually that means that team's going to get 2, the other team's going to get 1, and try and load up based on the score of the game, what the team's going to do, and most people are just picking their favorite players. There's a lot of times where, like, you'll have the same guy twice out of the 5 picks, and it's a receiver. Like, make sure you stack that quarterback with him. All correlate because it's 1 quarter of action. But they're fun. It's a little bit of thought can take you a little kind of far there.
True that. One last question from Kyle Bogart. Chiefs running back at captain. Are you okay with Edward Solaire captain?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's not my favorite, but I'm not going to say no. I'm sure I have like 5% or 10% with him in the captain.
I can see a lot of checking
down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They have like an elite corner that usually takes out number 1s, right? So, like, all right, Tyreek Hill probably has like a floor game in terms of targets and yardage. So, where's he going to throw it? Who's going to get the ball? They're going to run. They want to run, but we'll see if they have the lead or not. But he's going to get a lot of touches. You can pair him still with Mahomes if you feel like it because he can get it through the air. He's fine. He I would say he's like top 4 in terms of captain exposure today, though, like in the field. So I tend to want to get underneath that.
Oh, that's your boy. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.